What might be missing there? Repentance. So I invite you to bow your head and quietly whisper the prayer that will change your eternity. Jesus, I believe in you and I receive you. What Jesus? Who did what? Where's the resurrection? It goes on, if you sincerely meant that prayer, congratulations, welcome to the family of God. How does he know who's in the family of God? No repentance, no judgment, no hell, no heaven, no self-denial, no discussion of sin, no laying down of the law of God against which the sinner is broken, no sense of guilt, no sense of condemnation, no fear of eternal torment. That is an inadequate gospel. That is a gospel that I will tell you will contribute to apostasy. It'll contribute to defection. Because people are going to come to that which they think is the saving message, and when it doesn't do anything, they're gone. A shallow gospel presentation that doesn't present the reality of eternal judgment, the reality of the law of God, the reality of condemnation, eternal hell, does not warn of God's wrath, that does not crush the sinner under the weight of his violation of the law of God, that does not make him stand before God guilty. A gospel presentation that doesn't do that isn't a faithful gospel presentation. And then to tell somebody, welcome to the family, as if you knew, this is fantasy.
Night after being mistreated as a POW, a guard loosened the ropes binding me, easing my pain. On Christmas, that same guard approached me, and without saying a word, he drew a cross in the sand. We stood wordlessly looking at the cross, remembering the true light of Christmas. I'll never forget that no matter where you are, no matter how difficult the circumstances, there will always be someone who will pick you up.
And the basic, what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ is to say, I give as much of myself as I understand, to as much of Jesus Christ as I understand at that moment. And then you keep growing in it.
I never once gave an endorsement of Prop 8.
But I want to mention is Proposition 8, which is the proposition that had to be instituted because the courts threw out the will of the people. And a court of 4 guys actually voted to change a definition of marriage that has been going for 5,000 years. Now, let me just say this really clearly. We support Proposition 8. And every culture for 5,000 years and every religion for 5,000 years has said the definition of marriage is between one man and a woman. Now, here's an interesting thing. there are about 2% of Americans are homosexual or gay, lesbian people. We should not let 2% of the population determine to change a definition of marriage that has been supported by every single culture and every single religion for 5,000 years. This is not even just a Christian issue. It's a humanitarian and human issue that God created marriage for the purpose of family, love, and procreation. So I urge you to support Proposition 8.
Excuse me, did that look like an endorsement of Prop 8? Fairly significant endorsement of Prop 8. So Rick Warren was set to go on ABC to explain the difference. He was going to go talk to George Stephanopoulos, when at the last minute he backed out. Why? Because of exhaustion. He's backpedaling from what he said earlier. Look, what he said earlier is, of course, totally not true. This whole myth that they have that marriage has been the same for 5,000 years in every culture and every religion, that's not true. There's some cultures allow men to get married to 4 different wives, many different wives. Some allow few, but some allow women to get married to many different men. Most cultures did not marry for love or because God preordained it or anything along those lines, or destiny or anything. No, they married for money.
The first words of your very successful book is, "This is not about you." Yeah. And you know what that really also means? Serve a cause greater than your self-interest. Throughout our existence, perhaps we have not devoted ourselves to causes greater than our self-interest.
I think America's greatest moral failure in my lifetime has been that we still don't abide by that basic precept in Matthew, that whatever you do for the least of my brothers, you do for me. When I find myself taking the wrong step, I think a lot of it times it's because I'm trying to protect myself instead of trying to do God's will.
Yeah, I'm okay. You know what happened to me? I was crossing against the light. You don't want to ever do that. You don't want to ever cross against the light.
Remember that.
And herein lies the dilemma that we all face. Let me illustrate. Improved public health has caused the world's infant mortality rate to decline by 60% over the last 40 years. The rapidly growing exploitation of the world's supply of energy and water is a matter of deep concern, and the toxic byproducts of widespread industrialization have increased atmospheric pollution to dangerous levels. The United Nations can and should play an essential role in helping the world find a satisfactory way of stabilizing world population and stimulating economic development in a manner that is sensitive to religious and moral considerations.
I asked the top scientists in this several times, do we really have to get down to near zero? Can't we just, cut it in half or a quarter? And the answer is that until we get near to zero, the temperature will continue to rise. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
We are building a new structure in our country. Well, the other day I had the AARP people here, and I said, how can you possibly be for health care? And they said, oh, we don't see anything hurtful to seniors in that health care package. It looks great to us. And to me, that sounded the same as, Glenn, I just found out I'm related to a Nigerian prince. He's going to wire me $10 million. All I have to do is give him $10,000 and my bank account number. And you're like, no, that's a scam. Oh, stop it. You're crazy. He doesn't say anywhere in the email that it's a scam. Plus, he made a promise with his pinky. How many times have politicians promised us, both Republicans and Democrats, have promised us the moon and given us Detroit? No offense, Detroit, but, does your electricity even work anymore? You keep on voting in the same people. And in Detroit, the median home price now is $7,500. In 1965, the politicians said Medicare would cost us $9 billion by 1990. The actual cost? $66 billion. But don't worry, they were only off by $57 billion. Obama's current plan is $1.6 trillion. If it goes as well as the other government medical programs. If we have a shortage of money and health care, would it be an emergency? You decide. Now hold on to that answer for a second. You have your answer? Here's why I ask. When we are short of money, we will be short of medicine. And then someone has to decide who gets what. Who in government will be influencing and making these life and death decisions? Right now, it's the organizers, the advisors, and the czars. AARP members. I have nothing against AARP. It's a fine organization, but something is not right here. And you must call AARP and demand answers to these questions. No accusations, just answer the question. Who makes life and death decisions here?